My phone has been ringing off the hook this week with people saying, should I sell? I mean, no one has asked me, should I buy? Which is really the right question. My rule of thumb is, and particularly for people who are, tend to get a little panicky at moments like this, is never sell on a down day. Now, maybe you'll miss a little bit here and there, but at least you will never give in to panic feelings. And my rule is never sell when there's panic in the market.
It's interesting. Of course, that's not the rule that hedge funds are taking right now, Jim, who may be the incremental bid. They're taking risk off and they're selling. I see a lot of the names down are very well owned by hedge funds.
I'm glad you brought up hedge funds because look at their track record over the last 10 years. We're not hedge funds, and I don't want to be a hedge fund, and I don't want to be a trader. I'm not trying to dart in and out of the market. I take a long-term view. I have an asset allocation, and I stick to it, which is what I recommend that everyone else do. And by the way, if you do have an asset allocation, I don't care what it is, look at it today. The stock portion of it has not gone up. I bet it's time to rebalance. You get a 10% decline like this, typically that is exactly the time
That's what I was going to ask. So you're saying you would consider buying stocks now?
Absolutely.
Or is there something else you're waiting for when you feel like it's a better time?
I'm not waiting. I mean, I have a strict discipline that if it goes down 10%, I look at my asset allocation. If it's moved out of line by 5% or more, I rebalance. I don't care what's going on. I did this, you mentioned the financial crisis, I did that in 2008. I can remember being in groups of people in October of 2008, and they're all saying, oh, I sold. I said, well, I did some buying. And they looked at me like I was from another planet.
Because your time horizon was 10 years?
Exactly.
20 years?
Or, however long I'm lucky enough to be around. If you need the money today, it shouldn't be in stocks at all. But anyway, so I bought then, October. I'm sure I bought several more times as the year went on, constantly rebalancing. And that, that really paid off in the ensuing years. But you had to take a long time.
But you used the word panic. You didn't see panic yet, have you?
No, I wouldn't call it panic. Right. But I've been surprised. People have gotten very complacent over the last, really since 2009. It's been a pretty steady rise. And so they're not used to this. They haven't experienced this again. And it's painful to look at your stock portfolio and see it go down 3% in one day. Which, by the way, if it's really that painful, just don't look. Look a few days later. It's it's not going away.
Well, but you know that old story. People who don't look and don't pay attention, that can also be a dangerous proposition.
That's true because I feel you really should rebalance when things get out of line. That's the whole point of an asset allocation. But I know there are people who get so upset that I say, well, just don't look at it. If it's really going to ruin your day or something, why? Just, go on with your life.
Well, you raise an interesting point, which is when you need the money. I don't know when that case will be for you or for anybody, but how should people view the long-term needs that they potentially will have when you're talking long-term here in terms of how they should invest?
Well, I think, periodically everybody, whether they're doing it on their own or with some advisor or some trusted friend, they should look down and see, does the asset allocation make sense? 80-20 is probably good if you're in your 20s. As you get older and you're going to need a fixed amount of money in retirement or something, typically people do scale down the equity percentage of that. But again, I think percentages are meaningless. It depends on how much you have. If you're really comfortable, you can still afford to have quite a bit of money in equities, even when you're in your 60s or 70s. It's all a question of what do you need to live on? What are your immediate needs? Do you have a big purchase coming up? You have to fund college education. Put that money in a safe place, and then.
But Jim, shouldn't we mention the